This is Mike Phillips, your new Empire General for Living Legends 7. And we're going to do a video here and we're going to talk about loadout, okay? One of the things that cracks me up when I go to scenario games that I see people doing, it's a common mistake, is that I see guys out there carrying like 3 tanks, 2 backup markers, 20 pods, and you see them, they do like 2 insertions and they're done for the day, okay? As anybody would who's carrying out 50 pounds worth of gear, okay? It really cracks me up sometimes how I see people, you know, at scenario games, how they just completely beat themselves up in the first hour and a half, 2 hours because they're carrying way too much gear, and it's just not a good experience for them. So I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about loadout. Now, one thing I will tell you is that the amount of gear that you're carrying on the field should be basically inversely proportional to your physical abilities, okay? If you're not someone who's in very good shape, if you're not somebody who's training or not somebody who's, you know, maybe leads a pretty sedentary lifestyle, you should not be carrying out 20 pods and 3, you know, 110 cubic inch tanks and 2 extra pistols along with your 12-pound, you know, Tippmann. It's just a bad idea, okay? For Living Legends, the winner of the game is going to be the team that collectively does the most amount of insertions, okay? If you have one team with 1,000 players and another team with 1,000 players, if the team with 1,000 players, the blue team does 6 insertions each for 6,000 total insertions, but the red team does 8 insertions each for 8,000 total insertions, the red team almost guaranteed is going to win. Okay, so your idea when you're out there and you're playing, when you're doing your loadout, is you want to be thinking of a marathon, not a sprint. You want something that is comfortable to carry out there, then carry off, load back up again, carry out there, then carry off. Not something where you've got 30, 40 pounds worth of gear clunking and clanking off you and stuff like that. It's just not needed. You don't really go that far at CPX away from the pits where it's necessary to carry out 2 extra, 2 extra backup markers. I'll tell you my favorite packs that are out there, my favorite harnesses that are out there on the market. I like the dye one, but I do find sometimes if I'm crawling around a lot, sometimes the dye full backpack here is a little bit restricting, but I do also see that the dye one is expensive. Okay, it's $100 just for the vest, and then you still got to buy your pod holders. Those are your 20, 30 bucks each, and then if you need a radio pouch, it just ends up getting really expensive. Probably my favorite pack right now that's on the market, I've used this thing for probably close to 2 years now, and I love it, is the Empire THT vest. Okay, this is the one that you've seen me with at many games. It holds up to 13 pods. You can buy it for 60 bucks, which is a great price, because you got to remember that you're not only getting the vest, but you're also getting the pods on there as well. Okay, a lot of people like to sell vests. A lot of people like to sell vests with the pod holders separate. It ends up costing a lot of money once you build your whole vest out. So this vest is you wear it like suspenders, and it's just very lightweight. It carries a ton of paint. I usually carry 9 pods for my SP1 with my 77 cubic inch tank. That just works great for me. And obviously you still have your your standard harness that's out there, but really put a lot of thought and care into your loadout. You want to build up your gear or plan your loadout that's going to allow you to make the most insertions for the weekend. You're not going to help your team whether you're on Horde or New Empire if you're carrying out 40 pounds worth of gear and you're tuckered out after 2 or 3 insertions, okay? The one thing, once your legs start filling up with acid, once your lower back starts getting really tired, it's really hard to overcome that, and you're just going to be worthless in the pits. The team, but anytime you go to a scenario game, whatever team has the most amount of players in the pits is usually a team that's getting their ass kicked, okay? And I've seen this a million times. Wayne's World, I mean, and you go to any major place where there's a big scenario game going on or a big game going on, if you take just a middle note of how many players that are on red that are in the pits versus how many players that are on blue, usually whoever has the most amount of players in the pits is going to be the team that's going to be behind, that's getting their ass kicked out there on the field. So you want to build your loadout so that it's comfortable enough to you, it's not beating you up, you're not, sweat's not just boiling off of your face when you come off the field. And if that happens to be where you give up the vest and then just go with one of these and put your radio in your pocket, there's nothing wrong with that. But you know, being able to look at your general and say, you know, I did 10 insertions on Saturday, 6 insertions on Sunday. That's a really good weekend, you know. If carrying all that extra gear just weighs you down and smokes you, you know, and it's only 2.5 hours into the game, then obviously you've made a big mistake. So that's probably it. My personal favorite vest right now, the Empire THT vest. I love it. It puts a nice, you know, distributes the load onto my shoulders. I can crawl around with it. I can dive with it, and you know, I love how it carries, you know, up to 13 pods. I usually don't carry out more than 9. I put my 6 in there, then my 3. Another tip, I just thought of this. When you're out there and you're playing, okay, you know, when you're storing your extra paint, you store it here in these neoprene sleeves. The one thing you want to do is when you're pulling pods, you want to pull them from the holders first, not from the neoprene, okay? Because at least if you, let's say for instance I'm carrying out 5 pods, okay? I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, it's critical pack. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I've got 1 in the middle. If I pull out that 1 in the middle first, well, now I don't have any place to put it, okay? Yeah, I can put it in my pocket, but it's probably going to fall out, and I don't want to throw it on the floor because then, you know, there's no way I'm going to walk back a half a mile to get it. So by pulling it out from the sleeves first and saving these in the middle of the neoprene as an emergency, that way if maybe I only pull 1 pod and get shot, which happens all the time, I pull 1 pod, I dump it in, I get shot out, I have a place to put it. And I can go 1, 2, 3, 4, and at least these 4 pods are now back in place before I start grabbing from the neoprene one. So just as a little mental reminder, when you're reaching back for your pod, pull out one from like the Velcro or that's held in place, so that way you can slip it back in so you don't lose so many pods throughout the weekend. Save the ones that are in the neoprene for the very, very end for your 1 pod charge, and that should help you save pods so you're not constantly running to the trade show buying pods and stuff. So hopefully that helps. Thank you.